And now, live in studio, cutting through your media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, you're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show with Brandon Rhymes. Brandon is out today. You got your backup quarterback, James DeJerome, in the chair. No fear, we're going to bring you the same quality program we always do. We have a commitment here to the consumers out there. It's our intention to inform you and make you a better consumer, a more powerful consumer out there with the knowledge that we're going to provide. To that end, I've assembled a bunch of partners here. As you know, the concept of the show has not changed. We go out there in our community, local right here in the Bay Area. We vet different folks out there, different business owners. We bring them in the studio, and they provide knowledge to you as a consumer out there so that you don't fall into some of the most common pitfalls they see. So we want you to gain some knowledge and get stronger on the show. Before we get going with the show, I want to bring back all my guys. This is a chance to see behind the scenes a little bit. When Brandon's here, you know, we're all working behind the scenes. I got Mike back there on the board from Salem. He does a great job keeping us on the air every day on the AM 1380. If you're listening to us on the radio side, that's Mike doing his work on the board for us. Rob is our tech from WeBeam TV right here in the studio. So anyone who watches the television program, and I would encourage all you radio listeners to check out the TV show if you could. Just go to Binge Networks on your computer, search the Consumer Quarterback Show, and that will bring you to our archives. You can look at any of the past shows. We've got them all there for you. And again, it's knowledge that you can go back and get anytime you want. So to that end, I've also got some partners in the studio. Miss Colleen Rodriguez is joining us today from Fairway Independent Mortgage.
Hello. Good morning.
This is your first time on the show.
Correct.
But we've had Diane many times.
Good.
And you guys have this commitment to helping us inform consumers about how they can get into home ownership.
Correct. We want to help people, coach them through the process, and open it up to a lot of people that they thought it wasn't open to.
Yeah, it can be a little intimidating, I think. A lot of folks think, well, and the other consequences, they have money. They think, well, I'll wait a little bit, and then I'll just buy that house. It's not quite that simple, is it?
No, it's not that simple. We actually encourage people, we're not going to bite, we're here to help, to talk to us, to help us establish a saving plan, to help us with their credit process, because some people are a little credit challenged. A lot of people, you'd be surprised, don't even have credit established. Mm-hmm. So we're here to help with that process. We have first-time homebuyer programs available. We have, of course, repeat buyer programs available. But there's a lot of things that, it's just getting to the person as soon as possible to help them establish a plan.
Quite a few details. I remember thinking, boy, we've got the house all set up. A year later, we're still in the process, by the third time. So it's a process you've got to go through.
Yeah.
Joining us also in studio here today, a longtime friend of the program, Florida Firearms Academy, Thomas King is here. Thomas, what's going on?
Hey, James, great to be here today in Tampa Bay, sunny Tampa Bay. Always fun to be here. And
no shortage of news in your section. Every time I think, well, what are we going to talk about when Thomas comes? Man, there's a story that every single day there's something going on.
Every day there's a new law, something crazy out there, evil people out there. And there's also a lot of good things going on in the community, too, where people do have firearms training and they have used a firearm to protect themselves and their family at home.
That's the thing I want you to all think about. Thomas is not here to sell you guns. He's here to sell you education. He wants you to know what's going on and understand the whole concept of weaponry and what's going on in the world.
Education is key, especially if you're owning a firearm. You should take a class. You don't have to take it with me, but take a class, take a lesson, learn how to not have it taken away from you and used against you.
And you've also on the show talked about how you've seen people overcome their fear. They have a phobia. They've got to come in and actually touch a gun and get over the idea that it's immediately going to kill them as soon as they see a weapon.
Absolutely. People come in and they cry, taking a class, just touching a firearm, and at the end of the class, with the patients and everything we do with the instructors there's 13 different instructors. At the end of the class, they're actually asking if they can buy more ammo because they never thought it was this fun. So.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a lot funner than you think it's going to be.
Absolutely. It's an Olympic sport. It's been out there for a long time. So unless you've only listened to the media and had the fear of firearms, of course you are going to be nervous. Just like driving a car, you're nervous when you first did it. But then you got to do it and it was fun, especially if you race cars, then it's even more fun. But if you're just using it as an everyday thing, well, that's what we do too, is carrying a firearm with us, an everyday carry.
So it's something that applies to every single one who in the audience. You can't say I've taken a stand against guns or I've taken a stand for. This is about education and about understanding where we are in society and how to respond. What's the best thing to provide safety for you and yours?
The best thing to provide safety for me is if someone shows up at my house with a gun, I'm going to need a gun to stop them, or I'm going to need someone to show up with a firearm to stop them. That's just the bottom line. Anywhere, any mass shooting, any place, someone has to stop someone with the firearm.
You got to have a plan.
You got to have a plan. You got to have education. You got to have trainings. We reach out to businesses all around saying we will do a package deal for you for basic pistol training. We will come to your facility and then you'll shoot at our range. Or if you want an active shooter, if you want us to come to your business to teach you how to get away from an active shooter, how to stop an active shooter. Now, this is a real active shooter
specific
simulated class.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like the ones you see that are free out there that show you a video and scare you. We actually make you participate on really how to stop an active shooter.
Yeah, it's about acquiring real life knowledge that you can use to try to protect your family. And it's just that simple.
Bottom line is, what are you going to do if someone shows up at your house? You're going to protect your
Right, it's
family
coming
with
to you.
everything you can with your last breath.
So better have a plan. All right. So that's our subject matter today. We got a great show planned for you. We're going to start with Colleen. I want Colleen to just go over some of the, I think of all the folks out there renting, and most of them think I can't buy a home without really inspecting the prospects.
I know a lot of people. It's amazing when I still talk to people today. I was actually talking to my parents who are retired realtors who've been in the business for years, and they actually thought that you still had to put 20% down to buy a home.
That's a common one.
And you don't. You can get into a home without down payment assistance for as little as 3% down, and even 100% down if you're a VA military. Right. Or even a USDA loan in some areas. So there are options, and I think people get misled or they hear incorrect information, and it's really reaching out to a professional what they need to do, because that down payment may be as much as last month rent and deposit if you were should go into an apartment complex.
Absolutely.
And the rents in apartments now are much higher than what we're seeing the home monthly payment.
I had someone just explain to me a little bit about scarcity. They're saying, every time I look, I get even if in a rental situation, I've got to pull the trigger immediately. I don't have time to compare because it's gone.
Yeah. So that's actually another one of the reasons that we want to get in front of the buyer as soon as possible. So that way they're ready once they find a home, because they do have to pull that trigger.
Yeah.
Not to use it. But they do have to pull that trigger as quickly as possible, because there's not enough homes on the market for the
That's the lesson learned. As I explained before the show, we had a little visit about it. That's my experience. I thought, well, I've got time. I'm going to go inspect the property. It's gone before we got a chance to get it done.
It's gone before you blink. Yeah. And it's not unusual for us to see multiple offers on homes. And the listing agents actually, when they get our pre-approval letter, will call us and they'll vet us and they'll say, did you actually speak to this borrower? Are they fully qualified? And we'll say, of course they are. So
at that point, you've done your homework and you're in a position. Absolutely. Now, part of the reason we have such pressure is because we have a lot of out-of-state investors that want to come down to Florida and buy property.
Right.
So when you're dealing with out-of-state, how can you guys work the same with anyone?
Well, yeah, we can certainly do a loan for an out-of-state investor, but I do really, if you're an investor and you're looking to do that, I do recommend that you work with a real estate professional. Brandon could help, of course.
Right.
You want to make sure that you're buying a home with value, and if you're looking to rent it out, they can help coach you with current rental rates in the market and that kind of thing.
So knowledge of the market critical. You don't want to be purchasing as an outsider.
Yeah, you don't want to be just kind of running around like it's the Wild West. You want to make sure that you have somebody holding your hand who is very familiar with the area, and that's really key too. Florida is a large state, so you want to make sure that you're working with a local realtor.
Yeah, lots of different values depending on where you are in the state, and lots of different. We've got homes from the 50s all the way brand new.
Between North Tampa and South Tampa, where we are right now. So there's a huge diversity in how quickly the properties stay on the market and everything. So every geographic niche has its own little story to tell.
Now, when it comes to home ownership, certainly we all feel like the value is going to appreciate. It's one of the few things around that you could feel really comfortable about investing your money in.
Right.
So that idea of rent versus own, if you could talk about someone that you've gotten past that hurdle. Have you had an experience where a potential buyer came in and thought, I'm not sure, and you were able to give them an opportunity to get into their own home? Right.
Well, actually, I just had a young couple that I closed yesterday, and they were first-time home buyers, and they had been renting, and they had been renting for quite a while, and their rent was, I want to say, about $200 higher than their new mortgage payment. So it makes a difference, and not just that is, I don't know if a lot of people understand that, but your mortgage payment, a portion of that mortgage payment goes towards the balance of your mortgage. So it's an automatic piggy bank in your house. So even as your home is appreciating, you're paying down the amount of money that you borrowed to buy it.
Creating
a
some
lot of our
equity
new
there.
Our home buyers don't understand this, and that's really where they're gaining money in the long run. So if they stay in a home 5, 7, 10 years, they're most likely going to do well. The average appreciation rate is 3%. We do see higher rates here in Florida, given our geographic status and everything. But that at the end of the day, they're going to come out ahead.
Now, just as it is in the news lately with the interest rate, tell me that's going to spark business. How do you feel about what's going on as far as the Fed goes?
The Fed, okay. So the Fed lowering rates doesn't directly translate into mortgage interest rates. Everybody's like, oh, the Fed lowered the rates a quarter.
Right. Of course, that's what first thing I thought.
Yeah, the mortgage rates are going to go down a quarter. Let's everybody refinance. Let's everybody buy a new home. It doesn't necessarily work out that way. And the Fed's been talking about doing this for several months now. So that's already baked into the current rates.
So they're anticipating this move.
They've been anticipating this move. So it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to call your lender and get a 0.25% lower on your rate automatically.
Okay. So when you look out there for what's going to establish your rate, your credit, the things that you're going to meet with you about?
Your rate is established mostly by your credit, also by how much you're putting down, and to a certain extent, what type of property that you're buying. So condos we see have generally been a higher risk property in the past. So sometimes there's a little add-on to the interest rate on condos.
That's why you need some local knowledge and somebody who's got a professional on your side.
And condos also require a special approval. So if you're working with a lender that's established in the area and has been around for a long time in the area, then they're going to know the background.
Coming into a break now, we got Colleen Rodriguez, Fairway Independent Mortgage. When we come back, we're going to visit with Thomas King. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. This is the show for you.
Hey, this is Jarek Robbins. You are listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show with Brandon Rhymes. Please do what it takes to learn all that you have to live the life you want to live it fully, and find a way to give it by paying it forward to others.
Get in touch with Brandon online at consumerqb.com.
This is the Cannabis Podcast, powered by TrueLeaf on Radio Influence. It's an inside look and the scientific facts in and around the world of medical cannabis. Now, here is your host, Ian Beckles.
He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
Here, got a gun.
Welcome back. This is the Consumer Quarterback Show with Brandon Rhymes. Brandon is out today. You got your backup quarterback, James DeJerome, in the house. We had a great first segment there with Colleen. Colleen was telling us all about how to get out of rent and start buying your own home. All the advantages to home ownership. Of course, you guys know about that, but you may think you can't do it. Please reach out to Colleen. She can take care of you. I want to make sure that everyone knows about the Lucky Dill. This segment is going to be brought to you by the Lucky Dill. It's our restaurant partner here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I tell you what, we've had restaurant partners, and I go once in a while. I go every time to Lucky Dill. I don't know if you guys have been over there for a sandwich or anything.
Those sandwiches are as big as your head.
Yeah, it's definitely a place you want to stop by and check out. We've got a great relationship with them, so mention the Consumer Quarterback Show anytime you're in there. It's a special place, and I just want to make sure we give them their plug on the air because they do a great job for us. So coming back, we visited with Colleen from Fairway Independent Mortgage. We got Thomas King in the studio, and there's so many, as I said earlier with Thomas, it never stops. The news about it's about gun education, gun laws, gun safety, an event, if something happens. So you guys constantly getting barraged. I made phone calls, different people asking about this law. Just in the break, you guys are discussing I guess there's a lot of misnomers out there about gun laws, different steps. And
right. They was talking about the 20-year mortgage,
right.
How that became. And then we talked about, the 3-step rule in your car and you're firing, but it's just a myth. So
it's not true.
It's not true. It's never been true. And we've all heard it, and we've heard it from kids. And it's knowing the correct laws on the books. We have a book that John Guttmacher writes. He writes the Florida laws about firearms, carry, all that stuff, and you can purchase the book online as well. But knowing the laws is what gets you out of trouble. Make sure that you're safe. Make sure you're doing the right things, or you take classes with us. We're going to teach you how to do it correctly.
Right.
So.
It's not as simple as just the common sense. Everyone thinks, well, this makes sense if this guy breaks into my house, or it just seems sometimes you feel like you're in the right just because of the circumstances. But you better know the laws.
You better know the laws, and you probably should have the insurance for it. So many people out there have insurance for it. A lot of times it's $15 to $20 a month, but you know what? It can save you and your family. It can save you from losing your house or your car, because if someone breaks into your house and you actually have to shoot him, you still have to put money down for a retainer for an attorney. With insurance, you don't have to. Not even just shooting. It could be fist fighting out in a bar. It could be with someone's trying to attack you with a knife, and you have to physically take this person down with your hands, and you could get sued for that.
It's mind-boggling to me that you could be the victim of an assault or an attack and then have to spend the next year tied up in court and spending all your money to defend yourself.
Well, you have to think of it this way. Someone breaks into your house, they're committing a felony, right? You have to commit a felony to stop them if you have to actually take down this threat. So
amazing. So not just...
you have to clear your name.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of folks out there have just said, well, this isn't going to come to my front door. I don't have to worry about all this crazy stuff. We were visiting before the show. Story online, unbelievable story about folks who survived the shooting in Las Vegas. They were there at the concert, and the guy opens up, starts shooting, and they managed to survive that. And they have a little online group. They get together and do the events together as survivors of this tragedy. They choose the Garlic Festival in California to attend as the event that they're going to go to. So the same group of folks has now survived 2 mass shootings in the last 2 years.
Wow.
You know what? That's why not only should you have training, they probably knew, hey, that's gunfire. I need to get the heck out of here.
Exactly. The comments were the first time, fireworks, what do we, no. The second time they immediately just sprang into action.
They knew.
Yeah.
It can happen. It can happen to any single one of us. That's why we hire police officers to come in to talk about what's going on in your community that the media doesn't tell you. And when we hear what they have to say, it's actually terrifying out there. This last shooting in California this past week, it was a 19-year-old kid who had a rifle that you couldn't have in that. It was against the law to have that. It was against the law to have a firearm anyways at 19 over. Right. It was against the law for him to break in there. It was against the law for him to have a standard capacity magazine. He broke like 20, 30 laws while he was shooting people. Not only that, the number one law and rule is you can't murder anyone.
Right.
So adding more laws on top of 20,000 gun laws that our federal government has, it's not going to stop any of these people. I can't even ship a firearm, that type of firearm, to that state. It's just illegal over there. That's a highly regulated, restrict gun state over there. So
very difficult to even enforce all the legislation that's out there.
I don't know how they do it or can do it, but it's just like, if someone shot me, I'm not going to care what you shot me with. I don't care what you killed me with.
Right.
I'm not going to say, was that a pistol or a rifle? Was that a knife or a bat?
That may have
You
been an
just
illegal
murdered
wound.
me. Yeah, you just murdered me, and that's the number one rule. You're committing murder. No one's going to ask what you killed me with. So these adding laws on top of laws on top of laws that won't stop anything isn't going to stop anything. And if you do try to ban semi-auto firearms, then all you're doing is taking away law-abiding citizens the right to protect themselves from people like this little evil punk.
Yeah. It's hard to
out
pass
there.
laws for criminals. You know what I mean? They're criminals.
They don't
the laws that
pay
you pass
attention to the law.
aren't being adhered to. So now, switching gears to Florida Firearms Academy. First of all, if you guys haven't been there, beautiful facility. What's the location, Thomas?
We're at 13317 West Hillsborough Avenue in Tampa. We're basically in between the flea market over there and West Chase.
Really great, really sweet operation. I mean, you should see all the stuff he's got over there. And this amount of classes and the amount of things he puts on is really stunning. I mean, you've always got something going on. There's picnics, you got barbecues going on.
We always do something we just did this huge party for our members out there, and we always try to do it all free of charge. Now, it does cost us a penny, but you know what? Our members are so good to us. We're not like any other gun range out there or store. We're also an armory. We have 40 different types of classes that you can come in and sign up for. Some start at $20 and they go up to $90. But you know what? This is education that you really do need if you own a firearm.
Sure.
So I want to make sure that this firearm is not taken away from you and used against you, because if it doesn't become muscle memory, then you're going to hesitate if you actually had to use the firearm. Oh, the safety's on, and now that's when your firearm gets taken away. Or I forgot the chamber around. And these are the kinds of things that should be muscle memory. So
that's why I love those classes. You know, you'd think. One of the things about Thomas in the past, he's mentioned some of the specifics in the courses they put you in. The one in the dark really made sense to me. Like, when this happens, God forbid this happens to you, but in your house, the lights aren't. You know, it's
dark.
Yeah, you better know what you're doing in the dark.
It's a whole nother ballgame when you're shooting in the dark, and how to use a low light or flashlight, how to adjust your eyes to the flash. You know, every single person that comes out to take that class, they're like, where did the target go?
Right.
Because now they're blinded. So knowing how to do it correctly and safely, and actually how to protect your ears. So if you actually have to shoot in your house, you're not going to be able to hear it all. And there could be an officer that your wife called and is already there, and he has his gun out, and you have yours out, and you can't hear him, and he's yelling at you to drop. And if you turn around, he may pull that firearm, that trigger, or it could be a bad day for you. So you got to know what to do in these situations.
Now, in addition to go over some of the stuff you got, the classes for sure, and the education part is absolutely what you're about. But man, you offer everything: cleaning. You got
We're a
guns
full
set.
armory. Yeah, it's a full armory. We custom make our own firearms. We have full auto machine guns. We have just about everything on customization, cleaning, repairing, maintenance classes. If you want to learn how to fix or repair your gun, come on in and see us. We also have couples tactical classes, couples home defense classes. I mean, there's CWP, you get your permit, and also anything from basic pistol to tactical rifle, pistol, shotgun training, in-home, out-of-home, whichever it may be. But the main thing we love to do is the sport of it, just having fun out there, really learning how to move and shoot, multiple targets, mandatory reloads, malfunction drills. These are the things that people come out, and it costs $20 to do one of our competitions, and it's usually a lot of fun, and it's theme based, so it's a good time.
You get to see their confidence grow a little bit, and all of a sudden they're not so intimidated. And the idea is a weapon doesn't, they understand what's going on a little bit.
We had a lot of people that are brand new to shooting these matches last week, and they were a little nervous and everything, but it covers the free class, it covers everything with it, the targets. We go out there as instructors, we're with you the entire time, and after your first or second or third time doing it, your confidence level is getting better. You're enjoying it. You're learning how to do it correctly and safely. So then they're like, when's the next one? I got to do this next one.
I actually had an experience similar to that. I was shooting with a guy who hadn't done it before, and he realized he had aptitude. He started killing the targets, and everyone's like, look at this guy. So he jumped. He just felt inspired by the whole thing, and started, now he's out there all the time.
You could be an Olympic shooter for all you know, to be honest. You don't know unless you really go out there and you try it or take some of these classes. There's people that come out and they shoot every day, or there's people that come out and they shoot with us, and they're actually doing it wrong. They're holding the pistol wrong. They're not having the recoil management. They're not doing good trigger control, the sight alignment, and they come out and they shoot all the time. But I'm not going to say anything to them because they said they've been shooting for 10 years.
Right.
But if you really want to learn how to do it, just take a class with us. And I guarantee you, your shooting will become way, way better.
It's your eye. It's also your demeanor, right? Your calmness or something like that?
There's so much to it. I could tell you 1,000 things, but you know what? Most people don't know which eye they use to aim with. So what's your dominant eye? Are you cross-dominant? How do you hold a gun if you aim with your left eye and hold with your right eye? There's so many things that you have to do before you can actually really get in there and start shooting correctly and safely.
So it's not just like TV where you pull it out and hold it sideways and expect you're going to hit your target from 30 yards away.
Our next competition, it's so funny, coming up is it's called Out of Ammo, and it's based on every time we watch movies, they shoot these guns and they're out of ammo and they throw their gun away and there's like 200 guns lying all around them, but they never pick that up. They use hand-to-hand combat. So this one it's called Out of Ammo. You're going to shoot your gun till you're out of ammo, and then you're going to have to use one of our $2,000 guns, and we're going to train you how to shoot it. But you're going to have to pick it up. You're going to choose which one, and you're going to finish off the rest of the match with that. So.
More real life. That's what Florida Firearms Academy offers you, a chance to not just shoot and not just learn, but some real life courses, a bunch of great stuff out there. Anything specifically coming up? We got about a minute left, Thomas.
We got a lot of classes, but we have a 3-day event. This is the IMI Academy. This is the Israel experience. They're coming over here. They're government training. It's a 3-day course. It's going to be phenomenal. It's August 10th through the 12th. And then we have this huge firearm and much more auction coming up. We're going to announce this a little bit later, but this is going to be firearms brand new, some starting at $1 with no reserve.
Wow.
It's no one does this, so I want to do this. If I lose my ass in this, then it's my fault, to be honest with you. But, we just love having fun with this, and we're going to put out hundreds of items out there, and, of course, our shooting competitions at the end of the month as well.
Florida Firearms Academy. What's the website, Thomas?
We're at ffatampa.com, or you can give us a call at 813-221-FIRE. That's 3473.
A great resource for all you guys right here in the Bay Area. Thomas King, Florida Firearms Academy. Stay with us when we come back. More knowledge for you, and the Consumer Quarterback Show rolls on.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. For more information, go to consumerqb.com.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
This is the Cannabis Podcast, powered by TrueLeaf on Radio Influence. It's an inside look and the scientific facts in and around the world of medical cannabis. Now, here is your host, Ian Beckles.
He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show with your host, Brandon Rhymes. Brandon is out today, so you've got your backup quarterback, James DeJerome, in the chair. We are still committed to providing the same quality program you're used to. We're going to provide information. We're going to give you some empowerment with that knowledge so that you can go out there and be a more informed consumer, make better decisions, and do what's best for you and your family. And before the break, we were talking a little bit to Thomas King from Florida Firearms Academy, all the events and the things that they do over there. And we had met with Colleen Rodriguez from Fairway Independent Mortgage, helping renters out there. And just as we were discussing with Thomas, first responders and police, fire, law enforcement, military veterans, these are people in our society that we really got to value a little bit. So I was curious to know if both you guys do anything or had anything as far as veterans programs or anything for first responders, veterans out there.
Well, there is, of course, the VA loan, which allows your borrower to do 100% financing, no money down, and there's no mortgage.
Boy, that's great.
It's huge. There's no monthly mortgage insurance premium. It's also, they have very low, but if you are credit challenged, they're much more forgiving for those buyers. And the seller can assist with closing costs. So many times our veterans can get in a home with very little money down.
So please take advantage of that. If you're listening out there and you're a veteran and you think you don't have the down payment or you're not in a position financially, you may be able to take advantage of some of these programs.
It's also a loan. A lot of people have the myth that it is a loan that takes longer to complete. So typically,
the terms, you mean?
Well, from when you write the contract to when you close. A lot of people think that's going to take up to 60 days for a VA loan, and that's untrue entirely. They do take 30 days, which is a typical loan time, sometimes even less, and once again, it is getting the buyer pre-approved, making sure that everything's okay, and the veteran's in good standing. So, but it's a great loan. Yeah. You can also use it to purchase much larger homes. The VA allows them to have basically they could purchase up to like a $600,000 loan with maybe as little as 10% down.
That's a great deal.
Because of the VA. Yeah, because the VA is endorsing it at the end of the day. So it really helps.
Please take advantage out there and call Fairway Independent Mortgage. Get in touch with Colleen and see what you can get, because you really don't know until you check everything out.
Correct.
That's a great deal. I love that.
Now, Thomas, you guys do all kinds of stuff. Tell me some of the stuff you guys do.
Well, I think you should support any company that honors the veterans, military, law enforcement, first responders, firemen, everyone out there that actually does something for us to actually have our freedoms. We should give back. And what we do is we offer discounts for all of them for memberships. So it's a very good discount. Their range fee is only $10.50, unlimited shooting time. So, take advantage of these things. We have people come in every day and they say, "Hey, I'm a veteran." We're like, "Thank you very much for your service," and you get the discounts on just about everything. So.
Yeah, it's just the right thing to do. I mean, it's about service. These guys have put their life on the line out there.
You have to honor and respect these people that always put their lives on the line for us. So
yeah, it's amazing to think that there's that 9/11 fund that recently was in the news, and there was debate about how to handle that. Boy, it seems like we spend a lot of money on tons of stuff. That seemed like a no-brainer to me.
That was ridiculous, because all the money that we spent just talking about it and getting to that point, they should have just said, with no question asked, we're going to put the money up no matter what. Let's do this.
How can you send someone off to a combat or some kind and then say, "I'm not sure we can take care of it"? I mean, there's no way that's correct.
That just makes me feel like your life isn't worth the value to them. So I really think that they should always step, and a good thing they did. They stepped up for the rest of their lives. Basically, they're going to be taken care of. But that shouldn't have been a question at all. Right. I think every American would have said, "Yes, absolutely. I will pay that tax money for that."
Right. So there's things out there that we got to get behind that are easy to see that everyone should support. That's one of them. And I just feel like with Colleen, the rent versus own thing is critical. The folks out there renting get into a habit of just paying the bills, and they don't even realize that there's potential.
They don't realize they can get out of it.
How, in your mind, do you think it's a wise thing to every year or so assess the market and see what's out there? I know for me, I just forget about it. I got my house, I'm done. But really, it's kind of a good idea to keep an eye out there and see what's available.
Yeah, it is good to reach out to your real estate advisor and also to reach out to your lender, because you do want to do a mortgage checkup as well.
Yeah.
So you want to do that annually, where you can check in, find out where rates are. Like, who knows? It's surprising. A lot of people still have 7-8% interest rates, and they haven't refinanced for whatever reason. It's too complicated.
Yeah.
It's too much. It's, it's not unusual for us to do a loan sometimes where all we're asking is your last year's W-2 and maybe your pay stub.
Right.
To save a lot of money.
I don't think that's a lot of documentation from some people. So, there's a lot of options out there that we have. And I wanted to kind of circle back onto the VA thing real quick. So Fairway actually has an AWI. We actually support our veterans. We had an event here maybe Diane would know better, maybe 3 years ago, where we raised money to help a veteran establish a new business.
Okay.
And there are different Fairway branches throughout the countries where we'll get together, we'll raise money. Sometimes we'll give them a house, a car. We'll help them as however we can.
That's
and that's something that we really try to do.
Awesome.
Veterans are a huge part of our business.
That's great.
And, we love them. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the first-time homebuyers and people that have been in a home for a long time say, that's something you really want to think about, is a lot of people, you've been in your house for a long time.
Yeah.
It needs to be redone. So we have rehab loans. You can come in, you can get the kitchen redone, the bathrooms updated, that kind of stuff.
I like the idea of keeping an eye on all the comps in my neighborhood, so I know what's going on, what's sold for what, and kind of where I'm standing.
And we certainly, when you close with us, you'll get like information after you close that kind of tells you what's going on in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And your realtor will most likely be helping you with that as well. So you know where the neighborhood is, because some of the information that you get online, and I'm not going to mention any websites, but they are not always very accurate.
Sure.
And they are capturing your information to sell to somebody else, quite honestly.
Yeah. We just had William Crowley. He's a friend of the show, and he comes on all the time and talks about these information breaches and different things that happen. And he's firmly convinced that it's usually the credit reporting agencies that are involved in the breach.
Yeah, well, credit reporting agencies do sell information, so
it's amazing that we would pay someone for a service, and then they would sell the information that we're providing. So
I
we're
guess
paying
we're not
them
paying
for
them enough, right? Is what the way that they feel.
The one that blew my mind was the cable company. So you pay for cable. The cable company takes all your information and then sells it. So it's already a ridiculous price for cable. And then they say, well, here's all the websites this person visits. Here's all the television stations and shows. So all that information is being mined all the time.
The information mining thing is truly frightening. What we find a lot of the times, and this started happening probably 5-6 years ago, is after you close on a home, because after you buy a home, that your deed and everything, that sale, that transaction becomes public record. So there are companies that are mining that information. And after you buy a home, you're going to get mail for probably upwards of up to 6 months that is saying, send us $90 and we'll give you a copy of your warranty deed, which is free information that you can get online, or you can call your title company.
If there's a scam out there, someone has got it ready to go.
And they send them all these letters for, insurance, if you lose your job and everything. And the truly frightening part about it, which is one of the reasons I like to go to my closings so I can talk to my buyers about this, is they're going to get information that looks like it comes from me.
Wow,
they get
scary.
information from the paper that has,
it's
the
designed to
Fairway
deceive you.
information, and it's not until you look down at the very bottom where it says where it's actually from. But it does look like it comes from the lender, and so you have to be very cautious about what you're reading before you jump in. So always reach back out.
Fraud all over the place out there. Be careful. Make sure you're informed. Tom, I'm sure it happens in your world as well, Thomas, with all the different firearms out. There's people making firearms.
That's an issue too, but right now I'm still waiting for my $200 million from Nigeria that I got an email from. But yeah, there's always a scam. If there's a way you can scam someone, they're going to be out there doing it. That's why also classes in education, make sure your trainer is certified. Make sure that they are a reputable person and it's a reputable range that you're going to, and it's not just some trailer park, which they do have trailers where you can go in and shoot into a little bucket. That's where they have you shoot at some of these places.
I can imagine your insurance is unbelievable.
It's not that good, but they try to get you every way around that they can to make it harder and harder to own a firing range.
I can imagine.
So we're an indoor firing range, and we're an academy, and we're a dealer and an armory. So it's crazy. But I wanted to say one thing. What this show is all about, and Colleen actually hit the nail on the head about when you were talking about the people that you saved money that they're paying rent and their mortgage is cheaper, and now they're saving that money that is going into their house. Right. That's just hitting. That's what the show's all about. And if people don't, That's why they should listen to this, because if they don't know that and they're just out there wasting their money on rent that they're just throwing away, they should get into that system.
Because that's going nowhere for them.
Right. And that's the whole thing. We're trying to build a legacy, some wealth, a way for you to have something to pass on to your family a little bit. And the home ownership is a critical piece. There's no way around it. Real estate has proven itself over time.
Your biggest investment.
Yeah.
Next to your family.
We were just talking on the break about your facility out there. I love that building you're in.
Thanks. Yeah.
Did you have to look? How did you figure out? I mean, you built it, you said.
Yeah. Well, T.L. Hunt owns all that property out there, and he owns the Tarp and Turtle. So there's a lot of amazing businesses out there. You just got to go back there and check it out, because now they're actually making this thing called Stumpy's. It's a bar, and it's gonna be where you throw the axes. It's gonna be right by us.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff in that little facility. It's United Business Parkway, and some amazing owners that work hard for their business and hard for you out there. So a lot of the free classes that we offer, though, I want to mention that, because we put a lot of free time in. It costs us a lot of money, but we're going to have a free class coming up. It's for first-time shooters. So that's going to cover the firearm, the ammo, the training, the classroom, the instructor, the RO, eyes, ears, and we're going to make sure that you can go out there and hold, load, aim, and shoot a firearm correctly if it's your first time, and it's not going to cost you a dime. And also, we do the same thing for kids too, but we have a lot of free classes. So be sure to go on our Facebook page, that's just Florida Firearms Academy, or go on our web page, is FFA Tampa.
Check them out, guys. Thomas King, Florida Firearms Academy, great place to go, all about education. When we come back, we're going to give you a feel-good story and kind of summarize for you, so we make sure you learned a little something today. Thank you.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. Ian Beckles that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
That's right, consumerqb.com, the place you can find all our partners. Thomas King from Florida Firearms Academy, Colleen Rodriguez from Fairway Independent Mortgage, are also featured. And like we always do on the show, Brandon is committed to providing some positivity. So we're going to tell you something good today, and this is our feel-good section. So I want to do a story about a young boy in California that came home to find that his home was burglarized. So out there, a 5-year-old boy in Hanford, California, once again has his toys to play with after his family lost everything. It turns out the Ramirez family was preparing to move, so they put all their belongings into a storage unit. They had stored their belongings in a facility. That stuff got burglarized. Everything was taken. So Nancy Ramirez, the young boy's mom, reached out a few days later. Her son Julian kept asking, "Where's my toys? Has the police recovered anything from the burglary?" He was concerned about everything he lost. So Deputy Troy Smith responded to the call. He asked what kind of toys they were. The young man said Avengers. His favorite one, he told him, was Spider-Man. Deputy Smith, on his own, arrived unexpectedly at the Ramirez home with brand new toys for Julian the next day. He said that Deputy Smith didn't expect anything for his act of kindness, even though it was captured on camera and shared on social media by the young man's mother. She said, "I just felt like it was the right thing to do." And he said, "I just wanted to ease some of the pain for that family." So again, a small act of kindness kind of gave her hope. She says, "It means a lot. It means the whole world to us. It shows that there are so many people out there who are really good. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it." Now, this is an example of a first responder going out of his way to kind of help someone in his community. We see it all the time with teachers that buy materials for their classes out of their own pocket. There's a whole segment of folks out there that are serving our society, and they're doing it at risk to themselves financially or whatever it might be. So keep them in mind, please, and let's try to create some positivity for them. If you find somebody out there who deserves it, please mention them. And for you guys, anyone that we work with or come across that you want to mention as being positive or someone that's a good influence on you and your business or your family?
Everyone that I know that I work with, so my employees, I have to trust them wholeheartedly, and the instructors, they put in a lot of work and they work hard, and I trust them dearly. So much respect for them, but also military, law enforcement, first responder, veteran. I think we should all act like this young gentleman did. Right. We should all strive to be that good.
It's out there, and you just got to look for it. Sometimes we get caught up in the headlines, and what makes you click or look sometimes is obviously negative just for that purpose. So dig a little deeper and find the good news out there, because it's out there, and make sure you tell people who are doing the right thing that they are, and that'll kind of enforce things and pay it forward a little bit. So anyway, in summary, we've had some great information shared today on the show with Thomas King and Colleen Rodriguez. I want to give you guys a chance to kind of summarize your thoughts, or if you had one specific thing you wanted to drive home today, it was your point. What would you think, Colleen? What's the best information out there for folks?
Don't be afraid to ask. We're here to help. We're here to help coach you through the process. Nobody's going to judge you. It's not a judgment thing. Right. Everybody's new. Everybody started. Everybody was a first-time home buyer at one point. So, and we all were at one point. Diane will tell you, she actually did my first loan, and I was working with her at the time, so I was in the industry, and I cried the whole time. So we all understand it's stressful, and it can be overwhelming, but we're here to help and make it as enjoyable as we can. So.
One of the things we discussed a little bit on the break is that folks get used to paying rent and living in a certain place, and it becomes what they think they can afford, just because it's the circumstance they're in. Right. This is what I have. This is what I can afford. If you don't investigate what's out there in your community, you're going to be very surprised to see what your purchasing power can actually translate to.
Correct.
Why not try?
Yeah, that's the idea.
There's no harm in asking.
Sure.
So it's really, and we're here to help. So.
Thomas, besides all the classes and everything you got going on over there, what can people, tell me what you want people to gather from Florida Firearms Academy. What's the key takeaway?
Well, from Florida Firearms Academy, I want you to understand that education is key with firearms. It can be a great, amazing sport, and it also can be something that can save your life. So you have to remember that you always will be the first responder in a case of event for you or your family. You can call the police. They may be there very shortly, but seconds count in these kind of instances. So
the idea of taking responsibility for yourself, much like we talk about in the rent versus own thing, where we want you to reach out, it's the same thing with personal security and your family. You've got to take initiative. If you think you're going to wait for some event to occur and then you're going to respond and get support, man, that's just not a practical way to look at things.
Now, you don't have to go the firearm route. We suggest that you do in a defensive situation if someone does have one, but learn even karate, learn how to use mace, a stun gun, something that can protect you and your family, because I guarantee you when it comes down, or if it ever did, your life or your family's life on the line, you're going to do every single thing you can to stop it.
We, as I mentioned before, Thomas has been a longtime friend of the program. So we've had events where we've crossed paths. You have a gentleman that works for you that does he builds the guns for you.
Right. He's the gunsmith. He's the full armory right there. He does them all right there. But I did want to add in there that I think Brandon Rhymes is going to be really scared when he comes back to see how well of a show you put on. He's going to be like, whoa, hey.
Now, this is what Jameis Winston, he was sitting there watching Ryan Fitzpatrick from the sideline thinking, but that's my job. No, I don't think that's going to happen. Brandon's very good at doing this. I sit back there and make fun of him all the time.
You're doing a great job, man. You do a
good job.
Well, I appreciate your assistance, and that's what we're here for, is to provide some knowledge and help the consumers out there in the Bay Area. One of the things that Thomas had just brought up there about working with folks in the community and trying to be an advocate for first responders and those who are helping to serve us is when you're out in the community and you see someone doing something positive, let's reinforce that. I don't echo everything I should. In other words, I see kids all the time doing something good, and I don't make mention of it. But boy, if they do something, if they throw a rock through a window, you can't wait to scream. You know what I mean? The first time someone cuts you off in traffic or whatever it is, it's never the good thing where you say, "Hey, that was a good job there. That was great." So I'm trying to get more folks to contribute positive comments out there.
It'll be a much better world if we were all trying to help each other out. And you know what? There's a lot of times, usually it takes some kind of crazy act of evil or something to really band us all together. But when we come together, we stand united.
Yeah, that is true. That tragedy has a way of bonding, and you got to take advantage of that once you become close and kind of build that camaraderie.
Practice that positive.
Exactly. So here on the Quarterback Show, we've got a couple of things coming up. Brandon's got an event coming up with Captain Matt, who's also an honor personality here, and they're honoring veterans. They've got a special for veterans and first responders coming up where they're going to do a lot of home side stuff, different roofing contractors and home inspectors, how to get qualified, things that they can do to kind of support them. In some of your classes, what are some of the age groups? I know people think of it has to be you have to be a certain age. Is there stuff for kids with you?
Right. We have kids that are 5 years old that actually come out, little girls that come out at 5 years old for our kids' free safety class.
Okay.
But normally, like in our events, we have kids that are 12 years old to people that are 85 years old that come do these events just because it's fun and exciting. It's kind of like if you're a bowler or whatever, a pool player, or it's a sport like that to us. We don't think of it as dangerous or evil or anything. We just think of it as this is the sport that we love and we all want to teach and educate people.
Well, the thing that just occurred to me with the kids is they have a curiosity. If you don't teach them or bring it out, they're going to invest. That's naturally what they do.
That's the whole key behind this. Once they shoot a firearm and they really see, because they do it in video games, they see it in movies, but once they actually really experience the firearm and shooting it themselves, then that curiosity isn't to let's go find Dad's gun and go look at it. And also, they're going to learn how to, if they ever had to pick one up, or what they really should do is call an adult. So.
Sure. But I guess my point was it's not about hiding your stuff hiding the gun from your child. It's about explaining everything that goes on with that.
Educating them. That's what I always teach people is, what age do you teach your kid not to touch the hot stove? Is it 10? Is it 5? What age is it that you teach your kids not to do drugs or whatever these things are? Many people and adults and parents have this thought that it has to be this age where I teach them this. The sooner the better. They're like little sponges and they want to know and they're very curious. So once they learn about safety, then they don't have to worry about them hurting someone else with a firearm or if they come across a firearm at someone's home.
Yeah, I think that's a critical step for, like you said, kids they're gonna want to know. They want to know what you're doing. So include them, bring them along, educate them, teach them, and that'll break down this barrier, this fear that people have of this thing.
Right. That's actually what you said. I hate to interrupt, but you said in somebody else's home. Like you might be teaching your child. You have no idea what happens when they go to somebody else's house. And so if your child has the knowledge and the comfort level, and knows to go ask an adult,
they're going to know what
to do. They might put the brakes on when the other child is trying to do something.
And I always let them know in the end, you have to notify a parent, because if he says, "Get out of here, you're chicken," and he invites another friend over, well, maybe they've never taken our course, and now they may pick it up and play with it and get hurt. So the kid could be saving someone's life if they just tell a parent. So
I think the numbers bear that out. Most of these circumstances are these tragedies that occur. It's a situation where availability, no education, the parents unaware that the weapon was low. There's all these variables that go into it. You can break those down. Some of the safety things are just, you got to do it, period. We talked a little bit about the 3 steps not being legit.
Right.
What do you have to do?
In the case of you're having a firearm in the car, your best thing to do is, if you have a CWP, is a lot of people, they like to just put it in a lock case and put it behind you. Now, I always let you know where your muzzle's pointing. When I have a case with the firearm in it, I always want to have it marked where this muzzle's pointed at.
Gotcha.
Because God forbid you did have it for defense and you had one in the chamber and some crazy act of craziness happens where you get in a wreck and something just happens to that minuscule, or something does happen.
So a guy hunting dog.
It's not pointed at you. Right.
Stepped on it, boom.
Pointed in a safe direction has always been a number one rule too. So make sure you follow the rules and you won't get hurt. A lot of people, if they don't have it, they just like to put it in a case, put it in their trunk. So they know that they won't get in trouble, but they will be going to a range, or they're going maybe fishing or hunting or camping or whatever it may be, so they bring a firearm with them. You do not have to have a concealed weapon permit to purchase a firearm, nor do you have to have one to own one in your house. You can open carry in your house, in your own private property. There's many things that are out there that are missed, and many things that are real in law. So come in, talk to us. We'll let you know.
Educate yourself. Thomas King, Florida Firearms Academy, Colleen Rodriguez, Fairway Independent Mortgage. Great show today. Thanks so much for listening and tuning in. Make sure you check out us on consumerqb.com. And again, search Binge Networks TV, and you catch the TV show on any Roku or Apple device. Thanks so much for joining us. consumerquarterback.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show, weekday afternoons at 5 on AM 1380. The Biz.
Are you a real estate agent looking to take your business to the next level and supercharge your marketing? Hi, I'm Brandon Rhymes, owner of Platinum MVP Realty and host of the Real Estate Quarterback Show, syndicated radio and TV show talk program on iHeartRadio, 1025 The Bone, daily 5 o'clock drive time on 1380 The Biz, and our TV show is on WeBeam TV. We're looking for real estate agents that want to join our team and supercharge their marketing utilizing some of our innovative strategies. We utilize the Real Geeks platform, Facebook marketing, internet marketing, and a lot of the traditional methods as well. Postcard mailers mailed for you, postage, signage, business cards, all paid for by the company. Aggressive real estate splits and ways to help you win in any marketplace. We need you to go out, take applications, and work our plethora of leads that we're generating on a daily basis. Reach out by clicking the form below, and we'd love to have a confidential interview with you.